Hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday's Cow Daily. We're a little bit late starting the day. My computer crashed. My internet crashed. It was like the Frank Spencer of live streams. Well, it would have been if it was my fault, but here we go. But we're back. We've battled through. I see two of you have joined already. Obviously, we're due to start at 12. I haven't done it today. So if you have turned up or if you know that we are live, please let me know in the comments, good people. That would be absolutely appreciated. See more people are starting to join now. Today, we're going to talk about freedom of speech, specifically referencing what's going on with Twitter and Donald Trump, but also intertwining it with some of the wider work that we're doing around names mentioned already on the live, Peter Thiel, Steve Bannon, etc. It's what we've been doing, like the other strands, like over the weeks and whatever, linking all these people together, because it appears they want nothing more than our freedom of speech and otherwise. Right. So we've got plenty of that to be discussing. Also, if you'd like to support our work, go to patreon.com/cowdaily. That's patreon.com/cowdaily. Links in the description for PayPal if you want to make a one-off donation to support our work. Cheers, good people. Also, if you could be watching this on youtube.com/cowdaily, that's youtube.com/cowdaily. It helps with the watch hours to get everything monetized. Right, we're back. Let's see who's in. Joanne's in. Hello, mate. B62 Boom One's in. Hello. Mia Mantry's in. Hello. Ben Martin's in. Hello, my friend. I hope the technical gremlins have been sorted, Ben. We'll see. It's not for the one to try, mate. And I think it would be one of the funniest things we'd ever broadcast if there's a camera on us trying to get this fixed, because I swear to God, this laptop was looking very much like a Frisbee. Trust me, Ben. But it is what it is. We're back. It's here. If it does crash, let us know in the comments if possible. And we'll just bag it off for the day. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I had a big break, barely went online, at least to sort of do any milk the cow stuff, and I needed it. I was feeling like on the edge of burnout on Friday. Shouts to Robert Grady as well, by the way, who saw us write something on the Facebook page when words to the effect of "get to bed." I did, Robert, and thanks. And I was like, my partner thought it was good as well that there's somebody else telling us to slow the fuck down. So appreciate that. Could have done without this start of the week, but here we are. Never mind. Right, what we're talking about. So from NBC News, breaking: Elon Musk reinstates former President Trump's Twitter account. Oh, did he? There's a surprise. Right. Just going to give a bit of background from this news report right here. This is from CNN. And to be honest with you, I mean, we'll go into it later on. I find a lot of this kind of stuff utterly hilarious. Anyway, check it out.
Much for joining us. So Trump was taken off Twitter in the first place for inciting the violent insurrection against the Capitol. You're a member of the committee investigating the insurrection. What do you make of Elon Musk reinstating Donald Trump?
Well, look, I mean, I get that people are on all sides of this debate. The fact that he did it with a poll of which, however many percent of those could have been bots that aren't real people voting in that. Secondarily, I don't know if, that decision should be made by some poll. I mean, what happened, if you remember specifically when this was all done, so not only was he lighting and accelerating the fire on January 6th, also before January 6th with his conspiracies, at the end of the day, he said, this is what you get when a victory is so unceremoniously basically taken away from the American people. So not only when it was done did he have any remorse, he said, well, of course you guys had an insurrection because that's what you get when you steal an election. I mean, I remember seeing that specific tweet and just being outraged at how after all this is done, can you still do that? And so now this idea that he's going to come on and be reformed, everybody knows he won't. And by the way, I'll say as a quick aside, the person probably the most upset today is Devin Nunes, because this is going to tank Truth Social if he does in fact leave.
So myself personally, I have mixed emotions. I absolutely see why he was banned, and as we'll break down in a bit, freedom of speech doesn't come without consequences, and a lot of people bandy that phrase around too and don't understand what it means when they're saying it. So I think we should really define what that actually means. The other side of it for me is I'm a spicy fucker. Like, for me, right, and this is a wider point throughout this piece, I do believe in freedom of speech, but I just don't believe in like billionaires being the moral arbiters of freedom of speech and having zero accountability structure in place. That's dangerous, particularly when social networks are the new public square. And also, as the new owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, has said recently, he's encouraging people to vote Republican. Given Musk's checkered history of being an absolute piece of shit, that is dangerous. So opening the door to Trump and all we know about what he's done and hasn't done, I'm unsure about it. But at the same time, if the algorithms were all fair and organic, we should be able to back ourselves in debating these people in a free and open forum. It's just I've got no faith that that's what Musk is creating, even though he says he is. And the people who are cheerleading this fuckwit, man, Jesus Christ. But are they bots? Who knows? So this was the poll that they've been referring to. Elon Musk put it out on his Twitter. There's over 15 million respondents. Yes, 52%, no, 48%. Bit of a Brexit outcome. He's also followed that up with Vox Populi, Vox Dei, which, I mean, anybody who starts like quoting Latin phrases, right, I immediately distrust. It's got Rees-Mogg written all over it. But anyway, I've translated it. It means voice of the people, voice of God. And who is the God in this piece, Elon, when you were tweeting there? Is it you? Is it Trump? Is it somebody else? So Musk has said on a tweet dated 18th of November 2022, new Twitter policy is freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. Negative hate tweets will be maxed, deboosted, and demonetized, so no ads or other revenue to Twitter. You won't find the tweet unless you specifically seek it out, which is no different from the rest of the internet. Well, it is different from the rest of the internet, but we haven't got time to necessarily go into that because there's a lot to cover today. Again, one person gets ultimate decisions, it appears, as it's been pointed out in that news piece. Those could easily be bots. Musk's twisting when he was like he was forced to buy Twitter, by the way. I don't think he did due diligence or whatever, but if you're looking at the details of the deal, please do, because it would be very interesting to see what's happening right now to broaden your knowledge around it, I guess. He, just bear with it, I'll put this back up. He is saying Twitter policy is freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. He's the ultimate arbiter of who gets reach. So it's not going to be this open and honest, organic amounts of reach. Like the people who have the best ideas rise to the top. Well, it's not that marketplace of ideas, and it's not this whole free speech absolutism he's trying to claim it is. What it is this thing that the wider right have been doing, and you've seen it with this so-called Free Speech Union, which was a troll enterprise in the UK by somebody called Toby Young and others, and it's part of waging this wider culture war. Twitter is essentially fucked, and I cannot see how anybody who's on the left, like truly on the left, I mean, I'm not talking about the likes of the Labour Party or the Democrats in America, are going to get this so-called freedom of speech, because straight away, if it's something that Musk doesn't like, or as he's proven is something about him, then like a feudal king, he will X that out. That is not what they're claiming this is, freedom, at all. Before we go forward, we'll see any relevant comments. Bob Grady, big up Bob. I truly wonder sometimes if social media is or has become the modern day equivalent of asylum or workhouse, where you go to jeer at those less fortunate than you. I think horrible people exist everywhere, IRL, in real life, or in cyberspace. And it's an opportunity in cyberspace to act or disrespect people, often without consequence, and consequences for your actions. I mean, it's like that thing, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. Now, I'm not advocating, especially with social media guidelines, that anybody gets punched in the face. But the top and bottom of it is, and I'm sure you may think of it, if people on a daily basis, like in terms of my experience, were giving me this level of grief in any public forum, I'd give them an opportunity to like take whatever it was back, if it wasn't true, of course. And if they didn't, I would slap the fuck out of them. Like, this is what happens in real life. And what we've got is a problem that people are getting or have got far too comfortable disrespecting people, Bob. And that ain't good. And now we've got this fucking geek lord space Karen telling us what we can and can't say, whilst dressing it up as free speech by bringing back Donald Trump. I'd be happy with not happy, but I'd celebrate Donald Trump coming back if it meant true free speech, because his arguments are easy to dismantle if they're done logically and rationally. He does wind people up, and I think like you're being played like a harp if you get wound up by him or these people, because it's what they want. They want your outrage. Don't give it to them. So anyway, further stuff. This is some reaction. This is Stephen Crowder, does something called Louder with Crowder, who's been banned from various social media platforms. He's one of the most bad faith people out there, but he's really good at it. And also his show is entertaining. So what he says here, Elon Musk reinstating Donald Trump's Twitter account as a middle finger to all mainstream media, woke leftists, and big tech. If you claim to support free speech, this should have you smelling from ear to ear. I mean, as we've seen, that's like a factually incorrect statement, but that's not the point. The point for the likes of Crowder and whatnot is to be agents of the culture war and inflame debate. That is literally it. Also to have some kind of mug club and make money and that kind of thing. Another one, Mr. Beast here replied with a popcorn emoji. Mr. Beast this week overturned PewDiePie as the biggest YouTuber on the planet. Actually, I like Mr. Beast stuff. But it's all this like sort of edgelord fucking tech geek shit, isn't it? So he's done this to the people have spoken. Trump will be instated. Vox Populi, Vox Dei, Musk tweet for those on the audio. Interesting. This one was one of the most interesting ones. He's reinstated Jordan Peterson. Now, I don't know why Peterson was actually kicked off Twitter. No idea. But here's a problem, right? Jordan Peterson isn't well. And I don't mean that like in a trite way. I don't necessarily have massive problems with Jordan Peterson like a lot of people do. I can see certain parts of his work and I've seen it help like people. There's lots of people that it does. So I'm not down with the outrage. There's a hell of a lot of stuff he said, which I don't agree with though. But I try and take a balanced view of people and see them in the round and in the whole. And certainly I'm trying to do this with him. He's not well. Physically, he's not well. But obviously, I think it's creeped in mentally as well. And here's the thing he's tweeted in response to Elon Musk's "What should Twitter do next?" You stand at the precipice of cultural revolution, sir. Your enemies fear your power, and your peers, such as myself, crave it. That is the most beggy shit ever. Your very ample bosom is ripe with potential. You are full to burst with God's grace. Please let that grace fall upon my body so I may soak it in. It just sounds to me like Jordan wants Elon to have a wank all over him or something. I mean, like, I don't really know what this is. I mean, personally speaking, like, you can like do whatever you want, mate, but like, what the fuck was that? Like, what the fuck is he going on about? Ample bosom and all this crazy shit. That is the beggy ass shit ever. Like, imagine sucking up to somebody like that, man. Like, seriously though, like, there's been, since Jordan Peterson's kind of come back into the public eye after he's been like seriously ill for a while, he doesn't seem the same. And I think people need to go on a bit easy on the lad. Like, you might not agree with him, but he's a human being too. And look, at the end of the day, I disagree entirely with some of the things that he said, and I think he should be held accountable. But also at the same time, like, if we're going to be human beings, we've got to have compassion and empathy for people that we don't agree with too. It's just a fucking fact. Like, we can't claim to be like, we hold empathy in our hearts and not do that. And I wish him all the best, to be honest. That kind of fucking talk is just madness. And that's not the only thing he's been doing. So I'm not really sure letting him back on Twitter at the minute is a good idea. There's this other type of shit as well, like in terms of begginess. The begginess goes up the line like some like billionaire like human centipede. For the audio people, there's a picture which looks noncy as hell of a young girl with a Twitter logo on her arse, with a picture of a monk with Donald Trump's. I mean, it's just non-central. This, like, and this is the like CEO of Twitter who's tweeting this, and it's in reference to like, and lead us not into temptation. Donald Trump coming back to Twitter, beg central. So there's something I just wanted to like throw up in terms of a timeline I've seen put around. Now, I haven't had a chance to interrogate this, so like, please look at it from that basis. But what I have had a chance to interrogate, if you've been here over the days and weeks, is the links to like Steve Bannon's The Movement International Fascism Network. Please, there's loads of videos which reference this on the channel, so please go look at them. But what it says, timeline: Vladimir Putin speaks with Elon Musk. Putin's talking points. Musk buys Twitter a week before US elections. Musk endorses Republicans, then Musk reinstates Donald Trump. So what this is in relation to is there are people who are positing the theory, and that's all this is at this point, at least from my perspective. I've not interrogated this, so I'm not putting my name to this at all. It's something, though, that does have some kind of tacit veracity as we go on. There are allegations about links to Russia in both the US and UK political sphere, as we know. Plenty of information out there to check out. What else is here? So, from Duty to Warn on Twitter, Musk has restored Trump's Twitter account based on his personal Twitter poll of his own followers, reported to be 70% bots. One of the reasons I wanted to use this particular tweet, people are saying reported to be 70% bots. I did interrogate this before we came on today, and that's not true. I did my own bots scan, and it was nowhere near that figure. So people need to understand that. However, Musk himself, when he was buying Twitter, was going to pull out because of the amount of bots. So the figure isn't that far away. So a Twitter poll of his own followers reported to be 70% bots, who broke 48 to 52. He said the people have spoken, the Russian bots have spoken, and they want their asset back on Twitter. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I just thought, put that forward, and we'll interrogate that as that goes on. I'm already working on it, to be honest. So there you go. Mad times there. Just on the Bannon stuff as well, there's another little bit I've got here that I think is a good time to put it in just now. Just bear with me. I shall bring it up. Now, this is Steve Bannon, who used to be on the board of Cambridge Analytica, was one of Trump's special advisors, and is currently appealing a 4-month prison sentence for refusing to go on the stand at the January 6th insurrection investigation. So this is Steve Bannon, as I will share it to the stream. Apologies, I haven't actually put these videos up because of all the crashing, so we've got like a little bit of a disjointed one today. Normally we'll kick straight in this stuff, but anyway, short video on what Bannon has said.
Very close sources. That is because Twitter came back and said, hey, we'll actually knock a couple of $2 billion off the price if you commit to 2 things. Number one, not let the Trump and the conservatives back on Twitter that we've already banned, right? Number 2, if you allow the management team to stay. And my understanding is that Elon Musk was not prepared to do either one, and said, no, the deal's a deal.
If Elon Musk does ever take over Twitter, I think it's interesting to point out now. We'll watch how quickly Twitter abandons their whole movement. The whole private companies can do whatever they want. I'm sure we'll see that abandoned quite fast.
Yes. Very close.
So anyway,
sources,
just bear with
that
just
is
stop
because
this. Right. So that was your boy Steve Bannon there. The presenter pointed something out quite interesting, and this is something that is leveled towards what they call the left or liberals or whatever. Right at the end there about like how long until they like do a 180 on calling it a private company and do what they want. Absolutely correct. That is correct. Like, and I've personally said this throughout. People who cape for corporations, like they can be like some kind of moral arbiter. It's the same thing as what it was previously when it was claimed that it was weighted more towards the left. Now, personally, I just think that's absolutely hilarious, given the treatment that the likes of us and others have received on social media. That doesn't bear out any kind of facts. However, I am. Sorry, I thought I'd muted myself, but I haven't. However, Bannon points out in that clip, and just bear this in mind, he's a professional propagandist and liar, so this might not be true. Musk hasn't actually come out and said whether this is true or not. But he's saying that within those meetings, when Trump, I keep saying Trump for Musk, same thing really now, isn't it? Musk was in the meetings with Twitter in terms of like negotiating the buyout. He was obviously saying that no, Musk wouldn't agree to the Trump and conservatives who've been banned clause and whatever. I personally am waiting towards that being a load of shite, but there are connections between Bannon and Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel being somebody who spoke about recently in terms of Palantir, and they just won a contract within the NHS for data. Also explored the links to the Tory party, Steve Barclay, but also to the Labour Party. So something from the back end of last week to add weight to what we're saying today. Peter Thiel and Musk set up PayPal with others together. That's how they first made their money. So some links to be aware of. REIT. What's this? Right, so this was an interesting interchange. I thought we should put up here. Started off with Sam Harris, who tagged Elon Musk. Sam Harris is like a podcaster, writer, does some reasonable stuff. Maybe it's worth a check out for you. He says, is it time to let Alex Jones back on Twitter, Elon Musk? If not, why not? Elon Musk, suffer little children and forbid them not to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Bit of a weird response. Kim.com pipes in, mega upload guy. Check him out and his case. Very interesting from a freedom of speech perspective. Kim.com. Alex fucked up with Sandy Hook. He admitted that and apologized. He also got a lot of conspiracy theories right. If serial liars like Biden and Trump are allowed on Twitter, then Alex Jones should be allowed too. Please reconsider in the interest of real free speech. Musk responds, my firstborn child died in my heartbeat. I have no mercy for anyone who would use the deaths of children for gain, politics, or fame. Kim.com replies, I can't imagine how I would survive if that would happen to any of my children. I feel for you, Elon. I agree that Alex hurt the Sandy Hook parents. That's a stain of shame for the rest of his life. But Biden killed a family with 7 kids in a drone strike, and he's still on Twitter. Right, for me, 2 things there. More veracity to my claim that Elon Musk will act as some kind of feudal king. He doesn't like something. He's previously claimed he's a free speech absolutist and then rode back when it was advertising money in peril recently. He's full of shit and he makes it up as he goes along. I mean, we're broadcasting this on Twitter now. Obviously, he's not watching, but, you know, how good is the AI, and will we get banned for criticizing them? You know, quite possibly, if we cop a ban soon, might be because of doing this and the way the AI picks out the keywords. Who fucking knows which way this is going? But as we can see there, and it's a tragedy that nobody should ever go through, but he's been personally affected by something. So he's like, fuck it. Yeah, Alex Jones can't come back. And Kim.com rightly points out that If Biden signed off killing a family of 7 kids with a drone strike, is that any better or worse? Now, that brings up a whole host of discussions, doesn't it, around the people claiming fairness and then being full of shit when it suits them. Because that's what a lot of this seems to be in the direction of travel and whatnot. This is a big worry in terms of the 2024 United States election. It's a worry in the sense that we know that based on what we've learned so far, it's not going to be a fair shake. But also we're going to have all these like MAGA, Make America Great Again bots and just general accounts of real people. Whenever anything, I mean, I've seen it today. Like they're talking about like these left-wing bots and all of this. It blows me fucking mind, but people believe this stuff. Like, and I mean, I suppose if they call the left like the Democrats and the Labour Party and all these, then that's entirely possible. But that's not who you're really referring to when you say the left. I just think there's a lack of political knowledge out there, really. Just before we move on to the closer, I just wanted to like throw something up, which I just like in terms of tweets, which I thought has been utterly tremendous and made me laugh all weekend. Jerry Adams, former leader of Sinn Féin and alleged member of the IRA War Council, tweeted this. It was RTE, the Irish National Broadcasters, rundown of what World Cup games they are. In the middle, England versus IRA. Obviously, it's Iran, but they've decided to use the shorthand of IRA instead, which I thought was bloody great. Also, just an aside, in terms of trolling, the British Embassy in Tehran is on Bobby Sands Street. It was renamed Bobby Sands Street, obviously, after the British Embassy was placed in Tehran. Also, arguably the best tweet ever, response at least. Jerry Adams, this house is like Santa's grotto. Takes half an hour to switch off fairy lights and sort of illuminations. Feel like a Grinch now. Responder says, surely you know someone who can fit a timer. That was from 2016, 2 days before Christmas. Utterly tremendous. Like, the top bottom of it is, right? People will go mad at that kind of stuff, won't they? Absolutely mental. But they'll laugh at one, but won't laugh at the other. Now, that's not like sort of freedom of speech and taking things in good faith. People who some think are monsters can be funny. Like, Trump is fucking hilarious. He's an absolute comedian. And on that basis, I would like him back on Twitter because he's funny. But the damage that he does without accountability, is it worth it? So, in terms of free speech, freedom of speech does not include the right to incite imminent lawless action. That's from Brandenburg versus Ohio, 395 USS 44, 1969, to make or distribute obscene materials. That's obviously the precedent in United States law. So if indeed it's proven that Donald Trump incited an insurrection, then in terms of freedom of speech in the United States context, he doesn't have the right to incite imminent lawless action. Like, people misunderstand the American Constitution. It doesn't give you the right to say absolutely everything. Not at all, in fact. So which types, this from freedomforuminstitute.org, which types of speech are not protected by the First Amendment? Although different scholars view unprotected speech in different ways, there are basically 9 categories. 1, obscenity. 2, fighting words. So like obviously fight and talk. 3, defamation, including libel and slander. 4, child pornography. 5, perjury. 6, blackmail. 7, incitement to imminent lawless action, as we've just seen. 8, true threats. 9, solicitations to commit crimes. Some experts also would add treason if committed verbally to that list. Plagiarism of copyrighted material is also not protected. And so there are good reasons, both moral and political, for upholding the right to free speech, but a moral right to express unpopular opinions is not a moral right to express those opinions in a way that silences the voices of others or puts them in danger of violence. And so I think Trump personally, I mean, obviously it needs to be legally signed off, breaks that rule. I mean, you see the events of January the 6th, and to me, it's pretty much an open and shut case. So he breaks that rule, he breaks that law. He shouldn't, on that basis, be brought back. But legally, he hasn't been found, as far as I'm aware, to have broken that law. So he can, until then, be on there legally. But when or if he's found he can't, he should be taken off Twitter on that basis, because that's the law and everybody should follow it. Freedom of speech isn't totally free. It's not freedom from consequences. That man seems to have lived most of his life without them, though, which I would suggest is a big part of the problem. Now, one thing that has been going on, and you may have noticed this too in chippies or whatever, like lads who you wouldn't normally expect to be into politics, whatever, they're talking about politics, and like you hear them talking about politics using American terms like, oh, fucking liberals and all of this. Like in the UK, and this is a real tell, like that they're picking up on the Bannon stuff and the consuming that kind of media like Crowder and whatever. Like in the UK, we don't have the same freedom of speech laws as in the United States. And yeah, people talk as if we do, because there's just got some like 51st state American media consumption brain going on. You see it a lot because Bannon is one of the people who, alongside the Koch brothers and the Mercers, people who've spoken about before, are behind like anti-vax propaganda. They've put a lot of that out, both paper and online. And people consume that. So they pick up those terms. So look out for that when you're hearing people talking in the pub and they're talking about X, Y, and Z. A lot of it comes from these people, and it's cascaded down through media outlets. So anyway, Article 10 of the Human Rights Act, freedom of expression. I'll just get some key points up as a big document. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority and regardless of frontiers. This article shall not prevent states from requiring the license of broadcast television or cinemas enterprises. The exercise of these freedoms, since it carries with it duties and responsibilities, may be subject to such formalities, conditions, restrictions, or penalties as they are prescribed by law. So the point I brought that up is there's laws like hate speech laws within the UK, which would override that, because the Article 10 of the Human Rights Act will defer to local laws. Obviously, as long as they don't break that act. And that's one of the sort of things that's going along at the minute with the sort of disruptors within conservative thinking, the libertarians within conservative thinking within the UK, people linked to the movement. These are transnational nationalists. That's the best way of putting it, I think. Controlled and well, I'm not going to say controlled, but heavily influenced by the likes of Steve Bannon. All right, 2 seconds, another thing. So Article 10, protect your right to hold your own opinions. Article 10, and express them freely without government interferences. This includes the right to express your views allowed, for example, through public protest and demonstrations, or through published articles, books, or leaflets, television or radio broadcasting, works of art, the internet, and social media. The law also protects your freedom to receive information from other people, for example, being part of an audience or reading a magazine. Now, those are being eroded in the UK. The Police and Crime Bill does that. Also, the Online Harms Bill. This live stream, this podcast, what we do could fall foul of this in the future. It's possible that we could get the jail, like the way things are going. So one of the reasons I wanted to pull this up was for that reason. So it goes on. Although you have freedom of expression, you also have a duty to behave responsibly and respect other people's rights. Public authorities may restrict this right if they can show that their action is lawful, necessary, and proportionate in order to protect national security, territorial integrity, the borders of the state, or public safety, prevent crime, protect health or morals, protect the rights and reputations of other people, prevent the disclosure of information received in confidence, maintain the authority and impartiality of judges. Just a side point, I'm sitting in the middle of a storm here, right? And if the internet goes down, that's why. It's absolutely brutality out there. Yeah, so something I needed to break down. The US and the UK are different countries. It should go without saying. They've got different legal frameworks and different laws. But a lot of people in the UK take their information from Americans and bad faith American news sources. And it's why you see people talking like this as if like they've got like a Bill of Rights. And well, obviously that's been worked on by Dominic Raab and whatever. But that is going to probably replace the Human Rights Act, and it's going to be a bonfire of our rights and open people like me up to the jail. That's the reality. But am I still here every day? Fucking right I am. Just on that, patreon.com. If you'd like to support our work, that's patreon.com/cowdaily. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a legal fighting fund. Also, PayPal, links in the description if you want to make a one-off donation to our work. That would be more than appreciated. Like, without blowing my own trumpets, what we're doing in the independent media now, not just myself, fucking everybody who's talking about this stuff in the UK is fucking brave, man. Like, all this retrospective stuff, we can still be got even if we stop on that day. So let's keep fucking pushing and keep going, because at the end of the day, like, what else is there to do? Like, we can't just take this, can we? We can't. So, yeah, we're not going to. So, right, I think I've got one more thing for here. Yeah. So there's a case which proves this, right, in the UK. And this is Observer and The Guardian versus the United Kingdom, 1991. Some of you might remember the Spycatcher case. So the Guardian and the Observer newspapers published excerpts from Peter Wright's book, Spycatcher, which included allegations that MI5 had acted unlawfully. The government obtained a court order preventing the newspapers from printing further material in proceedings relating to a breach of confidence had finished. But when the book was published, the Guardian complained that the continuation of the court order infringed the right to freedom of expression. The European Court of Human Rights and the court said the court order was lawful because it was in the interest of national security. So two things there. One, to the people who, let's get out of the European Court of Human Rights, they came down on the side of the UK government in 1991 there and said that it was in the interest of national security that the Guardian and Observer couldn't report on this. They also went on to say that, like, when the book was published, then they could say what they want because it was already in the public domain. The second thing is that there's a long history of the UK government stepping on freedom of speech. There was a recent case where Declassified UK, great outlet, you should check them out. I think declassifieduk.org, if I remember correctly. Great people. They were given a D note, or asked to comply with a D notice, which is a voluntary order by the UK government. It says voluntary. Like, there's very rare that there's examples of media outlets saying no and continuing to report after being issued with a D notice. Well, Declassified UK said no, and they continued to report on that particular story. I think about British Army in Kenya and the history there. So big up to Declassified UK for saying no. As I say, brave as hell. They're so brave, man. Like, I've got all the respect in the world for Declassified UK and other people reporting on this stuff. So I wanted to mention this, right? Because, how can I put this? There's a network of independent media organizations. I've got a meeting with them after this. I'm a bit late for it, actually, but it was obviously because everything crashed. We're out there and we're working together and we're trying to put this together. And I just wanted to direct this at yous who are out there doing it. And you know, the respect that I've got for you because of your bravery and because of your willingness to speak the truth in this utterly hostile environment for journalism is something that has restored my faith and hope that was all but lost after the 2019 election. I honestly think with the levels of bravery that we're seeing in the independent media, but also the likes of Just Stop Oil and others who are absolutely and utterly factually correct in what they're saying and what they're doing. I could cry at how much it's restored me faith. Don't go looking for it at the ballot box. Like, hope exists everywhere, and there's people waking up from the slumber and fucking fighting back now. Thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. I've got to hightail it and get to this meeting. Everything will be out later on as usual. Just got to do the meeting now, and hopefully we can change these things. So we'll keep showing up every day. Much love to all as ever.